Hi there, it's Tricia Morris here at Club Scrap with the Typeset Page Kit Workshop. We are going to create 8 beautiful pages together using this collection. I've got a copy of my instructions handy, and I also have the papers from my kit as well as the photo mats. You can set everything else aside. We'll deal with all of that later. We do have this special die cut that we're including in the kit this month, and I think what we should do is start with this. And you can simply pop out the different elements from this piece. And I even have a little distribution map on the instructions that tell you exactly where these pieces go. So we've got the 3 file folders, 3 mini file folders going into pocket 1 and 2. And when I extracted my pieces from the sheet, I actually did use a craft knife and cutting mat because in order to hold the die cuts on the sheet, they have to just take the die a little bit. So if you want to remove those with your craft knife before you pull them off the sheet, you could always do that. This longer piece goes in pocket 7 and 8. And then we've got these cute little tabs. I love these round tabs. One of them, oh, I guess they both go in 5 and 6. Now I'm filing these into my little accordion pocket folder that I've made. If you're new to Club Scrap and don't have the accordion pocket file, no big deal. This piece goes in 7 and 8. I'm referencing in the pockets again. If you don't have the pockets, just put them in piles labeled accordingly. This piece in pocket 1 and 2. And then we have these other rectangular shaped tabs. One of them goes in 3 and 4, and the other in 7 and 8. We've got another circular tab here for pocket 3 and 4. And then we have the pointy shaped tabs. Both of these will go in pocket 7 and 8. And I admit I did not use this little guy, so at least I don't remember using it. And that is it for those die cuts. You can set this aside or dispose of it. And now let's go ahead and prepare our photo mats here. Let's distribute them to the pages on which they will be used. And as usual, we try to use absolutely everything that came in that box. So the page 1 and 2 needs 1 gold photo mat. So just pull one of those out and put it in pocket 1 and 2. And 2 blue photo mats. Make sure you just have 2. Then the remaining 2 gold photo mats will go in pocket 5 and 6. We're skipping 3 and 4. 2 green going in pocket 5 and 6. 1 blue for pocket 5 and 6. Then we should have 3 red and 1 green going into pocket 7 and 8. That should be everything you're left with. Next, let's take the papers in our stack and put them in the order in which we'll be working with them. So the first piece that I want you to grab is going to be this big letters print. These are those letterpress blocks that we love so much that have the old-fashioned way of printing. We're going to take one of those and put it face down on our work surface. And then from your pile, dig down till you find a nice navy blue. That'll be next. We'll use 1 sheet of the green, 1 sheet of red, and then we reach the Cutaparts. So those are on the back of your stack. Grab the one that has all the strips on it first, and then the other one with the ivory background that has a lot of different elements and borders, journaling prompts and so on. Next, find the typewriter print. So cool. That one, and then the green. Notice I placed that print upside down. And then we got a green. How about a red? And then the other letters print face down. The remaining blue, followed by the typewriter print again face down. And you should wrap things up with 2 gold. That will be all of the papers that were in your box. And I'm flipping back over to where we started. Now I'm going to take this print. We're not going to trim it on the trimmer. So I'm going to take my cutting mat, a ruler, and craft knife. And if you don't like to use a craft knife, I know a lot of people really don't feel comfortable at all with a craft knife. That's fine. You can use scissors. It's just that a craft knife is going to give me a lot straighter line, or perhaps you have an oversized trimmer you like to use. So if you place this so that the R is kind of at the bottom left corner of your workspace cutting mat, I'm gonna rest my ruler on the area between the R and the S and just kind of follow that angle straight up. And yes, it's gonna separate the A and the B. This is just something a little different than what we normally do with the straight line cuts. And if you prefer not to do this at all, just go ahead and cut the paper, you know, at a desired location, splitting it relatively in half. And this gives me 2 pieces that are going to be used on layouts 1 and 2, but since they're so big, I'm just going to put all of this on the bottom of my stack because it's used last anyway, so I think it's a perfect spot for it. And now we're going to move on to preparing the blue paper for use in our layouts. This time I will actually finally use the trimmer. And our first cut is at a nice whole number 11, so if you're new to this, we're going to start out easy on you, so find 11. Now remember, you're looking, here's 11 centimeters, here's 11 inches. Make sure you're looking at the inches if you're using this particular trimmer, which I love. Make sure your paper's level up here. Grab that clear stabilizing bar to prevent the paper from moving around and slice. And then allow that paper to just sit right where it landed without moving it. And then we'll slide on down to 7 3/4. So to find 3/4, I like that there's a vertical guide every 1/4 inch on this trimmer. So 7 1/4, 7 1/2, 7 3/4. That's 3 columns to the left of the whole number. And then 4. And that's a nice whole number as well. Always stabilizing. Rotate now with the 4-inch piece and trim at 6. And that gives me 2 pieces the same being used in layouts 7 and 8. So place that either in the pocket or the pile. Then pick up the strip to the right. We'll trim this at 8 and 4. And you've created 3 rectangles here that can be placed in pocket 5 and 6. Doesn't matter what order the things are within the pocket. Everything will be dumped out anyway. Now here we're going to make a little exception to what we've been doing. We're going to trim at 11 3/4. So that's almost at 12. Make sure you go to the left to grow that number. Sometimes people make a mistake and trim the wrong measurement. So 11 3/4 takes off a tiny little piece from the end. And then again, trim at 8 and 4. So you have 2 pieces that are the same and then one that's just a little short, right? All 3 of them are used in layouts 7 and 8. We'll have to keep those straight. And I regret to inform you that this is a scrap. I didn't use it. And the 1-inch strip is used again in layouts 7 and 8. And we're already at the 3rd piece to trim, the green. We're going to trim at a big number again to create a tiny piece. This time we'll cut at 11 3/4. Then 10. And 5 3/4. So 5 and then go left. You'll be close to 6. Rotate the 5 3/4 inch piece. Trim at 11 1/4. 7 1/2. I'm going to give you another quick tip. The arm of the trimmer should stay up on its own. So when you are getting your new measurement, use both hands to slide the paper around. It gives you a lot more control. The last number is 3 3/4. It gives you 3 pieces the same, pocket 3 and 4. And then you have this little piece here. I'm just going to trim this at 4. And take this longer piece, place it in 1 and 2, and the remaining little piece in 7 and 8. Believe it or not, we're going to use it. Every last piece, except that guy over here, this little blue scrap. All right, now trim this next strip at 6. And these 2 pieces that are the same go in pocket 3 and 4. And this whole sheet pretty much, except for those little tiny pieces, went in pocket 3 and 4. So same for the strips, 3 and 4. And then moving on to the red. Let's cut this one at 10 3/4. So you should be close to 11, but to the right of it. Then 8 1/4. And 5. Rotate the 12-inch piece here. And let's cut at 8 and 4. just made 3 rectangles that are the same. 2 of them go in pocket 1 and 2, and the other one goes in 5 and 6. For this strip, a lot of unique cuts here. Our first one's at 11 and a half, 9 and a quarter, and 5. And notice again, I'm always stabilizing on that clear bar to keep that paper from moving. It becomes a habit over time. This goes in pocket 5 and 6. Then you have the smaller rectangle, 7 and 8. The even smaller rectangle, also 7 and 8. And then you have this little guy. We're even going to use him, pocket 1 and 2. All right, now this next strip, if you've lost track, this is the 2.5 by 12. We're going to trim at 10 3/4, 9 3/4, 8 3/4, 7 3/4. We are practicing our 3/4. Okay, so you have this long skinny piece here. This one goes in 1 and 2. And then you have a series of 3 pieces the same exact size, and then one a little larger. Let's just get rid of this large one. This one goes in pocket 7 and 8. Then these other strips have to be shortened just a little bit. So we'll take them all, stack them as neatly as you can, and place them horizontally in your trimmer and trim them at 2 inches. You can see the 2 right here. Stabilize firmly. All right, now we have our 1 by 2s. Let's take one of them in pocket 1 and 2, the next in 3 and 4, and the last one in 5 and 6. You do have this long strip here that goes in 5 and 6 also. And then of course you have the little tiny scraps. Mine went flying somewhere on the floor. Those we're not going to use. I hope you feel okay about that. Here we are with some Cutaparts. Now, as a reminder, you need to remove the outer perimeter of this to create the perfect 12 by 12 we're looking for. On my first cut, looking at the guidelines in the corner, I'm just going to go a little shy of that guideline and then finish that up perfectly on my last rotation. So now I rotate. I'm going to line up my guide here and down at the bottom where I can see my silver blade now coming into view. I'm looking again here, getting this off the edge. Another rotation here. I should be able to look at my 12 inches on the left now. And then my last rotation, I'm going to go again for 12 inches. And that lines up very nicely. And I'll get rid of all my scraps here. And now we can just trim this as indicated in the instructions. So our first cut now is at 10 and a half. And we're basically just going to separate all these images. Then 9 inches. 8 1/4. 6 1/2. And 3 1/2. This large strip is used in layouts 3 and 4. And then the next piece, I'm going to trim it so make sure it reads right side up. Our first cut's at 8 1/2 and 4 3/4. Put him in pocket 5 and 6. And this guy with the handle, 3 and 4. And this one with the straps, 7 and 8. The long strip with the journaling prompt, 1 and 2. Piece with the dots, 7 and 8. Got a little trimming to do here. Usually I like to trim my big numbers first, but we'll go anyway. 4 1/2 on this one. You'll be to the right of the joy here. And then down to 2 1/2. So these 2 pieces are used in layouts 7 and 8. They combine together. So 7 and 8. And then the joy is used in 3 and 4. Finally, the last and final strip here, 3 and 4. We have one more Cutapart. So we have to do the same little trick here and go around that perimeter. So again, cutting shy of the line in the first cut, just so that I can make this small enough that I can see from the top and bottom, I can see the edge of the blade. Now here, I'm just still looking at the guides that are marked. Then when I do this third rotation, I can look at the 12 and it's lining up perfectly. And then one last rotation here to be on the 12. Okay, let's get placed so that you have your letter strips here on the right. And our first cut now is going to be at 11. And then 10. 9 1/4. 7. And 4. Now rotate so that these little words here are on the right, and let's cut at 11 1/4, 10, and 6. This larger element here, pocket 1 and 2. The circle 3 and 4. If you happen to have a 3 3/4 inch thin cutting die or somewhere around that measurement, you can go ahead and trim that out, otherwise use scissors. And then you have this Oh Happy Day going in 1 and 2. And now you have the series of words. So I'm just going to use my scissors here to trim them. I'm going to leave them in the order that they were in because that'll help me with filing. Okay. We'll eventually trim these into circles with scissors. I doubt you have a punch this size, but if you do, of course, check that first. Now, the joy and the cheer, both of those can go in pocket 5 and 6. Love, 7 and 8. Happy, 3 and 4. And bliss. This goes in 1 and 2. Now, there's a second circle on here that's blank. That's in case you want to just write in your own word. You could always do that and then trim that out and use it alternatively to the ones that we've provided. So again, that goes in 1 and 2. For this strip, place it with the little opening here on the right. We'll go at 10, 8, 6, 4. Now this piece here with the typewriter, that goes in 7 and 8. And here we have a little tag, so I like to cut my corners on the tag and be mindful that I'm just angling it in there and trying to match the margin width here with the margin width there. And I can do that pretty easily on site. You could use scissors or you could use a craft knife and cutting mat for like a super accurate measurement. It's a 1/8 inch margin usually. So this one goes in 5 and 6. Details 7 and 8. You have another tag here that I'll quick nip those triangles off just so it's done, right? Then this goes in 1 and 2. It's going in 5 and 6 on that last journaling prompt. Now we have 2 elements to separate here, so make sure the large piece is at left, trimming at 7 1/2. 1 and 2. And 3 and 4. Now we have the dotty border, 3 and 4. Both of these letter borders, 5 and 6. And that's the last prep item for trimming. So I'm going to get rid of my trimmer and just lay this on its back. Now take your instructions and the last bits of the paper that we've organized. Remember those 2 trimmed pieces are on the bottom of the stack. That's right where we want them to be. And I'm going to take the stack, the whole stack, and place it left of the center of my workspace and slide the top sheet over. What that does is gives me the base for pages 7 and 8. So we'll dry fit all of the pieces onto these layouts starting from 7 and 8, work our way to page 1. And then from there, you can work back down from 1 to 8, adhering everything down, doing all of your final embellishing, and then your pages will be ready for your photos. All right, where do we find all the things that will fit onto these 2 pages? Well, we look at pocket 7 and 8. You pull everything out, make sure you get it all. There might be some real little pieces in there. And I don't think I mentioned, I turned to page 4 of my instructions. This is, make sure you're looking for the image featuring layouts 7 and 8 there. And this is going to be our map. So it's sort of like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. You have the box and then you have the pieces. So we're just following along, except this is way more fun than doing a puzzle, especially a hard one. Okay, so here we go. You've got this little title here. I'm going to give you some tips as to how this was assembled once we get things laid out generally. And then you have a blue strip beneath it, nested with the little dots here. Now find the largest red pieces. These are the full photo mats trimmed to the 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So put those vertically there, and they actually have a friend to nest with. So here we have 2 4 by 6 blue that nest onto the red. Very nice. Let's get rid of these other larger red pieces. This is the horizontal photo mat here, a vertical green. I just didn't want to cover up those cool keys. Then you have 2 blue pieces that are the same size. Make sure they're the same. Those are the ones that are going to go here horizontally. Then find the cut apart that says every story begins with a breath. And that is true. That's nested with one of the red pieces and it fits right here. The other cut apart has a blue mate and he's going to fit kind of under here. And the details cut apart also has a red nesting piece. So that'll kind of nest there and this will be above that. Now we have these cute little die cuts. Now they have a score line, and what I like to try to do is fold to bury the score line on the inside. And once you make the crease, you can use a bone folder if you happen to have one to kind of solidify that crease a little bit, and then do the same for the other one. You pop out that little center section and just bend. And then we also have the rectangular shaped one. So pop out that middle and the 3 little holes. You can use the tip of your scissors for that, and I'll just get rid of them real easily. And again, bury the bump of the score line inside and burnish. Now you have a little piece of green in your pocket that's designed to kind of create a little innie for this. So you'll need to cut a little off the end here on this. And I've got a green that you can adhere to the inside of this little folder. And that's gonna loop around the top of this cut apart down here in the lower right corner. Now this little piece of red, all I need is just a little hunk off of it. So I'm just gonna cut what I think I need. This is then a scrap, sorry to say. That's gonna fill in this opening here so that you could actually go through and write a little caption in there if you wanted. Adhere this to the window side. So take the bookbinding glue in a needle tip applicator ideally, because that's what allows you to create that nice little bead line, right? That tiny amount of glue that's needed. And then place it in there. Now don't glue it shut. You just want to cover that window. And then you'll take just like the center part, the end we can glue, and just maybe a little here, and attach this to the upper right corner of that mat, the blue mat. So make sure you're kind of out winging a little bit. The photo will go on top of this point here with the label with the mini caption right there. Isn't that adorable? So then this one you will adhere it the same way. So add your glue to this side, right? And then sandwich it once this is nested here, and then glue that into place so it's sticking up a little bit. That'll be super cute, right? Now for this one over here, I'm just going to show you a little trick. This time I'll use scissors to triangulate my title here. It's a nice short little cut. That's why it works fine with scissors as well. Now take the medium size one, not the big one, and remove those little thingies. And now thread this little buckle through the notches in your title strip and center it up a little bit, and make sure your title strip then is spread out the left and right edges. That's where you're going to pay attention. I'm going to center this up a little bit and then try to make that buckle land near the center and make my creases here. All you have to do now is thread the buckle. I'm going to go from the top underneath that little slot there. So cute. So now I have this title strip kind of adorned with this adorable little paper buckle from the die cut sheet. Then use the other big one. Kind of do the same thing. You can place the buckle in the center and then just make the crease going around the bottom, going over the top and through the loop again, and you've got your little buckled, your actual paper buckle on your project. Adorable. For your last embellishment, you can take this guy and just nest it right over it. So Jacqueline designed the details word and the little frame to mimic exactly what happens when you add this tag shape to it. So it's designed to specifically live on that cute little cut apart, and you can place that right there. Now let's take a look at those finished pages here. We've got everything I talked about. This is glued to the right edge of the blue mat, and then with the green interior attached to the top of the little cut apart. And just as a reminder, if you have a lot of pictures from a single event, go ahead and cover that with a photo. Nobody's going to be the wiser. Now on this one, I used almost the entire length of the red, the grosgrain edge satin ribbon here, making a double looped bow across the bottom. Really nice balance to what's happening over here in the upper left corner. So you got your little loop here, you got your little loop there. I just love how that turned out. If you want, you can take some earth ink. You can ink the edges of these little pieces. I think it kind of adds a little more warmth and a little bit of contrast to the look for that. And here you have your details. And then one last thing. Oh, I probably missed it when I emptied the pocket. The little love. Now I trim that into a circle with my scissors. I'll quick go ahead and show you exactly how I did this. You don't have to be super accurate with your scissors work here. You can just kind of work your way around. Squeeze as you go. Turn as you squeeze. And now I have somewhat close to a circle. Take the bronze charm that comes, the bronze setting rather, that came in your kit, and then just add a little glue to the inside of it and pop the love right in there. And it's very forgiving. See, it looks like it was perfectly trimmed, right? Then what I did is take some of the glue. I just went around the perimeter real gently, and it might look like it's going to ruin it, but it will just dry clear and it'll look fine in the end. And place the glass dome in there. Make sure you've got it. You can kind of see the adhesive, but once the water is gone, you know, it's gonna look just fine and stay right in there beautifully. Okay, so that's how the love happens on these two pages. I'm gonna set my finished ones aside here and then take the base of this left layout here, the green only, just the green, pick it up and lay it on top of the blue base, or the printed base, layout 8. Then slide layout, or the red rather, over to the right. And that gives me the base for layouts of 5 and 6. So let's take a look here. In our instructions again, we're at the top of page 4. Here's pages 5 and 6. If you want to rotate this any way you wish, you've got a certain preference for how things are situated. This is how I had my paper with the R in the upper left in this case. And we need the contents of pocket 5 and 6. So we're emptying this out from the back. Always good to remember that. This time I'll try to make sure I get my little circles for my settings. And you'll notice too that I like to distribute the elements from the palm of my hand rather than individually from the tabletop. It just goes a lot faster, a little easier. And we'll begin with a long red strip here across the top, nested with the letters, one of the letter borders here. And the other strip is going to kind of go over on this side. 2 green mats, and that kind of frames them up. So the spacing around those mats, I have about 1/8 of an inch going all the way around, and then mimicking that distance away here as well. Now there is a blue mat here, and you're going to nest the smaller red mat on top of it. It's a little short, but that's okay. We have a plan. This comes down a little bit. There's another piece of red here, and on top of it, you see. The joy will go here, and it's going to fit in its little gem shape, right? Its little bezel, and it's going to fit like that right onto this little folded tab, and I'll show you in a minute how that finishes up. It's really super cool. I put the wrong color. The green's up here, and in the end, I guess it doesn't really matter. I have the gold going across here. My apologies. Okay, so green's up there. Then we have a row of 3. Now make sure that you place these vertically or they won't fit with space in between. And we have this cute little tag up and to the right, and then a journaling prompt that gets the other tabbed. So this is going to fold around and be attached like that. Then you'll add your cheer to the typewriter key setting, and then that's going to go on top of there. In your kit, you also have these cute little bronze frames in which you can fill with a piece of red that allows you to customize the journaling or caption for this. And you'll use the brads that came in the kit to attach this to the blue area beneath the photo mat. I also did something weird with ribbon. I don't know. I'm not too excited about how it happened, but I just finished it with just a little loop of ribbon after I did a slot punch. That's the gold ribbon there. Here's my cheer added to the journaling prompt. And then I punched the side of this tag and wrapped it with the blue silk ribbon and mounted it with foam adhesive here. On the facing page, here you can see again, I've got my frame attached to the mat with the brads, and then I attach it to the layout. Here I made a small slot with my punch and then looped some ribbon around to the top just to kind of bring the eye to the space. And then I folded my tab over and added the joy as well. To move on to layout 3 and 4, pick up the base of page 5 and then slide the dark blue over. And now you have the base for pages 3 and 4. I'll turn back in my instructions now to page 3. And I think I had the flaps for the keys in the upper left corner because I just love the look of that so much. And then I will go into my pocket labeled 3 and 4. Sure you get all the littles out of there. We've got this big border strip that'll be on the right. We'll get rid of that one first. We have a wide green strip that'll be kind of at the bottom. This is going to be to the right, this little 1/4 inch piece. The word type will be on top of the green down over here. And then we have our little circular sentiment. It's going to kind of be there. I'll talk about that more in a moment. 2 vertical, the larger vertical green pieces go there, and then we have a set of 3 the same that are smaller. So 1, 2, 3, and then slide this to be right next to it with some nice spacing there. This little piece will go at the bottom. This goes here on the right. You got the My Story, and once again with this piece, Jacqueline cleverly designed it so that this fits into the window here. So that's going to go in that spot. Your happy, I'm not sure where my happy went. It's around here somewhere. That fell out of my thing. Here it is, my happy will be added to the top of the joy. You have another red rectangle for your bronze frame. Now I can't wait to show you some of the details. I'm going to go right to the finished pages. Okay. On the right edge, you got your strip here, and then right next to it is the green. Then I left a little bit of blue visible and wrapped the whole entire thing top to bottom with that gorgeous metallic gold pearl ribbon. And then our final cut-apart strip, kind of just creating a really nice anchoring device here. There's the die cut, and I did ink it a little bit with earth. And then the happy sit in the setting attached to the tab, which is glued onto the top of the joy cut apart. A little bit of detail work here, but I think that it's worth it if you can always omit anything that you just think is just too much. Now I did something really fun in this spot. I trimmed this into a circle with a close to 3 3/4 inch thin cutting die and my Sizzix machine. So if you don't have that, no worries. Use scissors, trim around it, and to hide any cut errors or cut marks with your scissors, you can ink the edges. That will take care of that. Then I placed my nested piece on top of, like in this case, placed my nested piece on top of this, and I marked with a pencil right on the white line here around the circle where this meets the circle. So I mark. Then I took my craft knife and I cut in between those marks to create slits. Then slide this piece into the slots that you made with your craft knife so that it goes above it and the text can stay on top. The finished result is pretty cool. So here's the strip going under, over, under this die cut. And then I also put the frame right into the opening there. It's on the strip, really, not on the circle. Hope that makes sense. It's a pretty neat effect and kind of unique, so I hope you give that a try. Now take this base, as hopefully you're used to doing this by now, and slide it on over. One more time over. Now we have the gold, and we have those other pieces that we stashed on the bottom of our stack. So this is layout 1 and 2, and I'm going to go ahead right now and place the straight edge of the piece here and the other straight edge over here. It kind of divides the print between the pages in a nice and pleasing way. I'll empty everything, hopefully, from pocket 1 and 2. Got a lot to play with in here. Super fun page. We'll begin with the long, narrow strip of red nested with the sentiment here. Below that, we'll add 2 horizontal blue photo mats. We have a gold that's vertical, that'll be here. And then beneath that, we want the Oh Happy Day, that'll be sweet. On the right, 2 horizontal red. Beneath that, the journaling prompt in the strip form. The tag Happy will be on the right. This will be here. And let's see, we have the insert for one of the bronze frames, that 1x2 red. And you can, cut other paper if you want it to be ivory or manila or whatever color you want. We have this guy. I'm going to show you a trick with that. And we have our 3 file folders here. Those are going to be placed on the right side here. I'll tell you more about that in a second. The Bliss, this is going to be in the setting and set right into the box right here. And we have these little plain pieces here. Okay, so for these file folders, you can fold them in half on the score line. And again, look for the bump of the score and put that on the inside of the fold. And you're going to want to burnish these. Now, if you happen to have 3 standard paper clips, these are a number 1 paper clip I learned because I looked it up. And here we have some green paper here, this little green scrap. So I'm going to cut a V into each end of the green here with my scissors. And there was a little piece of red here as well. I'll cut a V into the end of this. I just like to add these V's because it just looks a little better. You could maybe round the corners for something different or punch them. And then I'm gonna just tear off the straight end here and then tear this in half. Okay, so I've got my file folder. I'm going to reverse this one so that the tab is on the left. Just for a little variety. And then I'll take this little piece and I'm gonna paper clip the green to that. Just for something eye-catching, you know what I'm saying? It's just one idea, right? You can do whatever you want. I just thought this was fun and a great way to use my little scraps. Maybe I'll turn this a different way. It's a little different than my original. That's okay. These are just ideas. And if you want, you could just paper clip the whole thing together. And you can put stuff inside of these if you have something private you want to keep in there or kind of have some photos sticking out partially. That'll be so cute. Okay, so now you have these sort of adorable file folders kind of matching all with our typeset theme. And that's that right side. Now let me talk to you about this. Just cut it in half, okay? And loop it through as you have been. If you want to add ink, you can. And then place it on the top and wrap the ends around to the back and just adhere them there. That way you didn't need the piece to be long enough to wrap all the way around. It wasn't even necessary. So here is my finished page. I did add a slot to this one and more of that beautiful blue silk ribbon wrapping around to the back and attached this piece with foam, just regular adhesive here, and then 4 brads to adhere or to attach this rather to the page. And then the facing page, we have our last little bliss type key here, and then our wrapped trick with the gap in the back. Stapled a little piece of the gold ribbon to the left of the Oh Happy Day and added that with foam adhesive. the end. That's everything for this beautiful typeset kit. I hope you have fun with this one. Remember, we do have a pair of Cutaparts that match this collection, cut for cut, featuring Father's Day. So if you would like to make a Father's Day album or book or pages or anything you want, a project about fathers, you can do that with this typeset collection. Simply substitute the Father's Day bonus Cutaparts 1-for-1, or mix and match. If you only want to have 4 Father's Day pages and 4 regular, you can do that too. It's a great solution for us during those specific holidays if you prefer to use those. So if you're not already a member of Club Scrap, do me a favor and come and join us. Become a member of our family. We'll make these pages, we'll make cards together every month. It'll be a great time. Look forward to seeing you in class again soon.